Robert Farago here from thetruthaboutguns.com with a quick comment about the shooting of Gabrielle Giffords in Arizona by Jared Lee Loughner. And a horrible crime it was too. Over a dozen people shot, 6 of them murdered, by a man who quite clearly was not in his right mind. Took a Glock 19 with 30-round magazine and opened fire on innocent people. There has been an enormous rush to judgment by some, saying that inflammatory right-wing rhetoric somehow inspired Loughner to this act of cruelty and barbarity. There's no evidence to say that that's true or that it's not true. But one thing that is true, that we really should pause and focus on for a moment, is that this is not an event that occurs all the time. We should thank our lucky stars we live in America, where this kind of crime is unusual. So unusual, it gets a great deal of media attention. Because there are other places in this world where this sort of thing would be background noise. Just look south of our border at Mexico. Every single week, a politician, journalist, policeman, judge, murdered by the drug cartels. Dozens of people murdered every week, thousands per year, in a place where there is no more rule of law, in northern Mexico. Now, here in the United States, we still have rule of law. In fact, the crime rate, the violent crime rate in the United States is going down. Recent FBI statistics show that there is less violent crime this year than there was last year. And it's important to realize that although this horrible spree killing happened, it's not something that happens all the time, and it doesn't indicate a fundamental weakness of the American system. In fact, it shows that we are a strong system, a system where we have relative safety, peace, and harmony. There will always be evil people in the world. There will always be criminals who will try and take from law-abiding people what they can't get any other way, through violence. Now, we can't stop that, but we have done a very good job of stopping people from murdering each other in this country, violent people and insane people. It's important to realize that part of the reason why we have this safe, secure environment is the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, the right to bear arms. Gun control advocates often say that we have this right. The Founding Fathers wrote it into the Constitution because they wanted to protect us from tyranny, from our own government. Governments around the world use force and violence and threats of violence to impose tyranny and fascism and lack of liberty and their will upon the public. In the United States, that doesn't happen. And one of the reasons is we have this right to bear arms. We are armed against our own government. It's weird, but there it is. And of course, there's another reason why we have this right to bear arms, and that's to protect ourselves, to protect our pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. We have this right so that we can protect ourselves from each other, from not law-abiding citizens, but the extremist elements, the criminals, the psychotics. We can defend our families and ourselves with lethal force. And that's a good thing. I believe it has a deterrent effect on crime. But even if you don't, just ask yourself this. This crime in Arizona, this shooting, this spree killing, is it worth reacting to that? Is it worth taking away our fundamental liberties that have created the society that we now enjoy? Is it not true that the Second Amendment helps us to have a safer society? Or do you believe that perhaps it makes our society less safe? And if you believe that, just stop for a moment and ask yourself this. Is it possible to stop people like Jared Lee Loughner from getting a hold of guns and other devices which they can use to create great evil? Can there be a law to stop them? And if there isn't a law that can actually stop them from doing that, is it worth sacrificing our liberty to try and prevent the possibility of that happening? That's a choice that you have to make, that we as Americans make every time we go to the polls.